Jordan Elfish guy, who basically said, like, listen, they came into Pro League with no form whatsoever, and they did what they did, which is just absolutely incredible. And they want to get back there, mate. They want to get back there, and they want to prove it again. And this is their opportunity to do just that. The pistol is underway. Our consolidation final is underway in this BO3 for the right to play Vision. And the Huns will go aggressive down mid on the CT pistol. TYLOO seemed very ready for that, though, and will get himself a 4v3.
Oh, charging straight in, though, not wasting any time chasing these players down. Mercury. Very, very clean. 3-piece from him in this round overall. Zerol surely just on for the save. Nothing he can do about this. So definitely what the doctor ordered for TYLOO. I was going to just throw in there a little bit of exposition, I suppose, around the Huns playing so much Counter-Strike this past week. Maybe not as solid from them at the Nomadic Masters as they might have wanted, but, you know, as we've mentioned with the Mirage especially, a couple of nice results in there. Just feels like they've been playing a lot, so they may well have taken time over the past sort of 24 hours since their last game. Nothing really going on. Not sure what the situation is, you know, are they allowed for the rest of the event to use the practice areas from the Nomadic Masters? Probably, right? So
yeah.
That just adds an extra level of intensity to their preparation.
Yeah, in a way, that's one of the reasons why I probably wasn't surprised to see them make it through that lower bracket run, right? Beating Rare Atom, beating Chinggis Warriors. I think the Rare Atom win was a little bit surprising, obviously, as I mentioned, but yeah, they have shown that they can compete at this level. Zerolt will go down to Jamyung's Molotov a long time after he threw it. I wonder if that's a very minor strategy to not give a Mac 10 bonus money and rather die to a Molotov and only give up 300 rather than 600, but either way.
Yeah, I think you maybe give them a bit too much credit. I'm not sure that they're that they're that smart in the moment, at the very least. You know, maybe after the fact they'd be like, actually, you know, that wasn't too bad of a play. I think he was probably trying to cheese a kill, staying in the molly or something. I don't know, but whatever. It's an eco. We're not really going to pay it much attention.
Yeah, fair enough. There's just a very small point that I noticed as it was off camera on the kill feed. And now the Huns have got their gun round ready and raring to go. The gun round, of course, is Cobra Zera, prioritizing util on Inferno, as you probably need to have one player do with that MP9. Obviously, TYLOO have still got what they've got. Mac 10, a couple of Galils. Utility is all right. And on the take.
Oh,
wow.
Looking good. Chunky damage, really chunky damage. And I mean, Zerol is in that position as well, isn't he, of having a lot of utility, so needs to be careful not to just drop for free. They do quite well, honestly, on the CT side. It's a lot of utility expended, which I think was perhaps part of the TYLOO game plan, but they keep control. They don't lose any players. So it could have been a hell of a lot worse. Decent read here, maybe not on the timing. However, they're all on top of each other, so the triple swing coming in from the Huns, super, super effective there. 4 versus 2 now.
Good clear from 9 and Bartak. That's a crossfire that's pretty much impenetrable, and a great flash, actually. There's multiple situations in that timing, I suppose, where maybe you wouldn't consider just throwing a flash in towards short for that final player, or just peek them dry and think, oh, all's going to be good. But no, great long hold. This final flash coming through, just denying any clutch attempt. The Huns will get off the board at the first time of asking with their weaponry.
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty damn simple. There's really nothing to worry about in that round, I suppose. Nothing to really overanalyze. Just good timing, good catches. And they'll be pretty happy that they're able to get that first round. You know, it looked like a rough start. As I said, they did well to keep players alive and whatnot, but it still did not look great to get softened up. Oh, that's a bit messy. Not expecting the second player, I suppose, trying to steal away a gun before backing off. So man advantage TYLOO, vulnerable B bomb site, and they've got a lot of time to play with her.
Yami realizes he has to fight as well, and that is a great kill, but he has to get in a reload, and G is going to chase him down. Not first orange, check second orange, but it's actually Mosea to take the kill. And that's a 3v2, and despite the HP on Mosea and G, you're expecting a pretty difficult retake here for the Huns. They do have actually quite good util, and the kit on 9. Incendiary smoke, but it looks like they are backing away, which is a shame. If they maybe knew their damage, or knew the damage they'd done, maybe they would have given it a go.
No, saving away. So TYLOO immediately back on the board. Certainly the response that they were looking for, and pretty good one. A little bit of a condition, you might argue, right? Changing up the banana attack as compared to the previous round. So it's a good look. It is a good look. Maybe slightly messier from the Huns, and yeah, not fully warmed up into the old banana battle, I suppose. They've got money to buy back in, and we'll see if they can stay hot on the heels here.
Some of the crazy things about TYLOO's Inferno, right, is at Pro League in particular, it actually just looked so good. And it's not just the results that indicated that, it was purely just the way they played it in their own fashion, and that caught off many teams, of course. So not expecting a style like they put forth, but I'll tell you who's expecting their style in this round, the Huns. That is a great hold, and a bit of aggression actually coming through from 9 as well. He ran down mid to get that opening, and just they crunched. Simple as that, with that banana presence as well. So no damage at all until Mercury finally answers back. 9 may have got his 1, doesn't get 2, but he's done significant damage, and it should be more than enough.
Okay, so I feel like we certainly do have a game on our hands here. I had a bit of a sinking feeling just because of the gap between some of the individuals on the server, that we might just have TYLOO steamroll, you know, rush in that classic Asian style. But I think a couple things is, A, the Huns are matching up, which is great, and B, does just feel like the energy has flipped that switch. I talked about it yesterday with Lucy, where it's like, sometimes in these Asian matchups, like in the middle of the regular season, they're just charging at each other, fragging it out, bit of a TDM, you know, like playing quite loose and not very disciplined. But sometimes they'll look at a series or whatever and be like, right, this is for a spot, this is for the knockout, etc. And they kind of lock in, you know, and the discipline does step up, which is something that's changed over the past few years. And particularly, I think, the knock-on from the Mongols showing that it's like, right, yes, we have an Asian style, but we do have to work around that more Eurocentric kind of Counter-Strike if we want to compete with those teams. And I think the rest of the squads in the region are starting to learn that it's like, right, we can't just be stubborn and stick to our own style. We do have to, like, kind of employ the most effective version of Counter-Strike.
Yeah, I think you mentioned them sort of being a bit silly and goofy in the regular season, right? It's because they know they can get away with it. That's the thing, right? As long as they get enough wins on the board over the regular season to get that sort of upper bracket slot in the playoffs, there's never really much risk of a team of TYLOO's quality actually missing the playoffs, right? Sure, that's happened in the past a couple of times when they've had change-ups with their roster and whatever, but usually they know they are good enough to make it. And Jamyoung will get the entry toward Banana, playing on the corner of that smoke there at the bottom of the... Oh, I was going to say just past the half wall, but actually Kibrazera is sticking around here. Surprising that he's sticking around, but that's probably why, because he's got Yami's support. Reload in the sandbag, surely he doesn't get away, and no, he doesn't. G, good pounce, and they should realise they can go into B pretty comfortably here, because they've taken 3 players on that side of the map.
Opting not to, though. Mosea's pushed up middle, feels like he's in a good position. Bartak could be pivotal. Fortunately, gets smoked off. He's going to break it. Oh, no, man. That's so awkward. I mean, you do sign yourself to a battle at the very least there. Move through the smoke, not going to be good enough from 9. I mean, right idea, just mechanically not able to pull it off, unfortunately. But that is a struggle. We might get to see it here on the replay. Felt like he was in a good spot, good timing. Obviously, they're not going to hear the nade coming in until it does land. But yeah, just couldn't hit his shots.
I think TYLOO there, you know, I kind of said they can just go into a bin, all's good. Obviously, they can't see the radar. They don't know what the rotations are like. And it did take a little bit longer to get that kill, right? To get that final kill to basically clear open the V-bomb site. And they probably thought to themselves, right, they could actually have both players here on the rotation already. So just took a second, went back toward A, did the right thing by smoking long, working their way up short. And then, yeah, you're right. Bartak should get a 1-for-1 there. The fact that both TYLOO players were still up mid and top mid rather than round the corner towards short yet, they weren't split, meant that that break of the smoke could have netted him that 1 kill and then would have gone down and would have made it 1v1, but yeah, he left 9 in an awkward and impossible situation after that, I'm afraid. Good work from TYLOO, though, in the end to figure it out. And the right decision was made, as it turns out. Jam Young. Ooh, just about surviving. That's the incendiary grenade for you. It is dog.
Certainly say that again, I think. Yeah. Ooh. Double nade. It felt like it was in the right spot. Does hardly any damage. Big Yami here on the angle. Is he going to see any action, I suppose, is the question. Mosea's just holding patiently. Sense of timing pretty good from both, but not able to find the frag. They will live to tell the tale, I suppose, which is always nice, but yeah, we'll see here. Simple smoke comes in. What are they going to do around it? I think trying to fake out the idea that it's just one guy looking for a bit of a lurk play. That second flash starts to give the game away slightly. Time ticking down here, so they do have to be careful. Rotation, multiple coming in, maybe. And they have been fully sold down the river. However, now they're going to discover that there's nobody here. Kill comes in, AK retrieved, and they are moving fast towards B.
Yeah, up the creek without a paddle, as they say. That Cobra's error, great flash. They've got a paddle now. That's the flashbang. Sends the MP9 in to take attacker, but there is a good trade, and they will be able to cross with the bomb. G survives with 50 on that one, but it is a 3v4 to hold. Bomb will go down. They try and deny it. You can understand why when the time on the clock was so low. But 9 is going to be ahead of that banana Molotov, and it's going to be difficult for G and Jam Young to hold on to this one, you would think. There's a kit on Yami. This banana presence is going to be so frustrating for TYLOO, and G can't get the kill. It's all Jam Young from quad. They know exactly where he is, and they're being very patient about it as well, because they know they can afford to be so with that kit on Yami that I mentioned. 3 kills for him. He's up to 8, and the Huns are up to 3.
All right, so here we are. That competition remains. Looked like a good round on paper for TYLOO, but they could not convert. So we are most certainly on with this one, which is good. It is good, and this is what I talked about. And kind of an angle I feel like Nair started taking quite a bit is the fact that the Huns have a lot of reps on this map. So
yeah,
you know, yes, they're maybe not super successful, but it speaks to a degree of comfort. It's not a completely foreign kind of area. And yeah, once in a while, they're going to be able to put up a good map, or at least a close one, which is just going to fatigue you going into their map pick as well, right? It's not like TYLOO will have a breeze here. So yeah, glad to see that from the Huns.
That's one thing we mentioned the other day, right, when we covered them, that they have had some, despite the results being very up and down, they have had some good ones, right? They've taken TYLOO to a 16-14 on this map in the regular season. They managed to take bait to 10 rounds in the Meta Nomadic Masters. And they took Falcons to a 16-13 in overtime in that Blast Open Lisbon. So listen, they're in that tournament as a replacement team, obviously, right? For Atox, I believe, if memory serves me correctly. So yeah, it shows what they're capable of, even though they are a significant underdog. They've got the talents, they've got the name value in the Mongolian scene, of course, with the likes of Nine and Zerolt and Bartak, who've been around for a very long time.
Hopefully back in soon here, as I think we've just had a small crash. So it shouldn't be too bad in theory, but yeah, I do feel the Huns is a bit of a weird one, right? Because I think they have some very high-level competitors, but they are, again, just on that cusp of, like, you know, are they fully dedicating their entire time and lives to the game at the moment?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure. You know, I think a couple of them do a bit of casting, sort of make content or stream and whatnot. So they're still in the community, and you know, CS is massive in Mongolia. It's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that TYLOO might just have that edge because they are full-on professionals all the time, every day. Jam Young out with the trade there. Kind of necessarily an important kill. What is going on here? They're back in with a bit more aggression. Actually still playing 2 on B itself, the Huns.
Yeah, that was it's a good point as well about how big Counter-Strike has gotten. It's like, you know, a random example, which you know I love to throw in. It's like snooker in China, right? Because that's getting a hell of a lot bigger as years have gone on, because that part of the world has adopted it. You've got a Chinese player in the World Championship final playing today. And now the Mongols, obviously it was big in China before the Mongols really got to their absolute best, right? But now they're in the place they are in the scene, it's inspired so many more. And yeah, Mongolia's got a great Counter-Strike sort of, how can you say it? Almost a definition of their culture almost at this point now. They just love Counter-Strike to an incredible extent, with all it being put on in, you know, bars and stuff like that. Seeing the tweets from the talent in Mesa, right?
Yeah.
Working that tournament, so it's everywhere, and that's what makes it very, very cool, very, very fun. And that's a good round to convert there for the Huns as well, right? That was against a force buy, a full force, even though it was only Tech 9s mostly for TYLOO. So really important to find that one. That person won a full eco, and the Huns should take the lead here.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly changes the narrative, right? Huns with the best foot forward could potentially get something going here. 4 rounds from TYLOO, not quite going to be enough for us to be fully satisfied with their T side. So Huns have hit their stride, and this could be the beginning of something pretty damn special from them. We'll see, we'll see. TYLOO, of course, have got time to get back in, but again, it's in the back of my mind, man. I do worry about the mental of this team and how they're going to be feeling coming into today. It really is a scary prospect.
Yeah, I mean, I think any astute fan of Chinese and Asian Counter-Strike in general does occasionally worry about the mental of their favourite team going into a game. The Mongols clearly haven't cracked that playoff level yet to really get through to a championship winning level at big S-tier events anyway. And TYLOO have these bad losses in them for sure, still. Disgusting shot from Azea over toward Long. That is 9 out of the round, and they can maybe swarm with these pistols now, but it is only Glock still. Oh my goodness, the Deagle's doing everything. Yami, I'm not sure he knew much about that first kill, but he definitely knew a lot about the second and the third, and he's looking for the fourth as well. There we go. Panic has been dissipated, but great try from Azea, considering that was the only weapon they really had in the round.
Yeah, always some decent damage, but Yami, one to watch on this Hun side, actually. Hot prospects a couple of years ago. I think the kind of going line, maybe a few personality issues while he was a bit younger. I actually played on the Mongols for like a 6-month stint while they were on that redesign, let's say.
Yeah.
But a really great player. If he's figured that out, he might just be the next up. You know, Mongols obviously not quite at the same sort of form that they were having this time last year, so could be a player that they look towards. So performing well in the domestic playoffs is always a good for sale sign.
I really appreciate that the Mongols have kind of kept their lineup for a really long period of time now. I think that's a good thing to have, because they were obviously mixing and matching until they finally found a true synergy. They've obviously had no reason to change for a long time. But as I mentioned, with like their success inspiring more to play in the region and more to at least get a lot better than they used to be, right? Even if they were still playing, like that's going to maybe say, listen, like if they can do it, why can't I? I've got the talent. I should work toward it. Cobra's there, or we could have a lineup here in the smoke. Flash will come through, has to jump away. But yeah, I genuinely think that because of that inspiration for many in Mongolia, that's going to give the Mongols future options to go to when it comes to individuals, right? So exciting for them. And a good chance to at least confirm a tie on the half here. 35 seconds to go in this round, and TYLOO are going to go for their play toward A.
Nine on the corner. Just going to get dry swung. Kind of an oversight here. So looking very, very good. Molotov will take Yami down, but it trades a lot of information. 9 with the nade. Does get a little giddy there. I think certainly could have kept it in the 1 versus 3 a bit longer. Awkward to get the bomb back there. Yeah, and this is just going to give a free path for Zerolt. Great patience from him before taking that peek. So Huns, thanks to a bit of 9, I suppose, but that was a relatively solid team effort, will take the 6th. And it's a massive round, to be honest, keeping TYLOO at arm's length now.
Yeah, excellent work. And we've all been there, right? Jam Young at the end. The bomb is lost in the smoke somewhere, and he's just like staring at the map, trying to figure out where to run over it to pick it up and get it planted. You're panicking when you've got like 10 seconds to go and you just can't find the bomb. And once he did find it, didn't think that he could jump into the site and plant it safely. He could have, but you know, after that panic of not being able to find it in the smoke, he was like, yeah, well, I'm just going to plant default like a normal person. Don't want to cross long after the time I've taken. But unfortunately, was already getting flanked. And that puts the Huns in a very good position. TYLOO on their half investment in the penultimate round of the half. They might need to win it, honestly.
Yeah, I think you might be right. The Huns actually setting themselves up for a really great first half. Tag lands there onto Mercury. Nade does even more damage, but he's still alive. Just about. There he goes. The second time of asking with the nade. We'll take him down. Huns looking good. TYLOO crumbling. TYLOO crumbling, and it's getting very, very worrisome now. Their map pick, the Huns are in full control of it.
Yeah, all 5 alive. Not that it matters, obviously, with the final round of the half coming up, but it shows how dominant that round was and how well set up they were against what was a relatively dangerous Tech 9 buy with the util that TYLOO had, but they weren't even really allowed to use it. Now, final round of the half, they really do need that 5. I think it's important to mention as well that on this map, of course, for TYLOO, I mentioned it's the one that they're going to go to a lot, one that they're happy to pick into. Their CT round win percent is a lot less than their T. Obviously, the T-sided map, you'd expect that. T-sided game in general right now. But CT 48, T 58. That's quite a big discrepancy.
Nades over the top here. Oh, Cobra going to eat that. Trying something a bit different here on the Hun side. He will get his kill. Oh, my goodness. In the nick of time, makes it away. 1 HP. It is always going to be workable on the AWP, but yeah, the very notion of the Molotov nearly killed him.
They've got 3 of them. What the hell?
Oh my goodness. Okay, I didn't see 3. I was just focusing on Cobra. You know, he was in the action.
No, I'm not even having a go at you for that. I'm just like, I'm shocked. Like, I looked at it as well. I was like, wait, they've got triple AWP on CT Inferno. What are we doing here?
Also, why? You know, like they've been winning. Oh god. Zeralt up close, doesn't get blinded. 1.5. Cobra misses his shot. So we're 3 versus 3. Don't do it, 9. Come on, man. Come on, man. Oh my god. There's no need. There's no need. Just relax, you know?
Oh my god. The nades put attacker down to 12. Yami needs to do the work here. He's the one coming in from the Coffin's position. He's got the kit. He's had the amazing half, 13 and 5, looking fantastic. He will get the kill on toward attacker. It should be a trade from Pool, and there we go. I kind of jiggle peek it together. It's all down to Bartak. Needs to find 2, but this crossfire should be too good to get past. Mercury is jiggling, and it will be G to take the kill as they pinch him. And we end the half at a 7-5. TYLOO will scrape that 5th to keep them in the game.
Well, a different narrative from what we were expecting. The Huns are in the lead, and they look pretty decent, to be honest with you. The TYLOO side of things have been struggling. We certainly worried about whether they would be able to hit a solid performance. That being said, if you put into context, T sides, CT sides, all that business, it's not an awful look. So if TYLOO can get this pistol and put up that brick wall of the CT side, the Huns might struggle to get through them.
We shall see. They need this CT side to look good, though. And I think a good point to bring up as well is that I think G barely had, if at all, had the AWP on T-side. Not a bit at the end of the day, right, on Inferno. Look at Mercury. Oh, my goodness. He's actually pushed all the way through apps. Get back to that point in a bit. He's found Bartak, and because he's taken one shot there, they definitely know where he is. But otherwise that can be hard to clear, and he's found Zeralt as well. That's a bomb dropped in the second mid. The opening kill, of course, was what dropped that bomb, and they have to push forward to fight for it. Mercury's being an absolute nuisance right now, and Mazea and Jamyoung, they try and push down Banana to help out with where that bomb is dropped. Attacker will finally help as well. It recovers a 3v2. You can understand why they're going aggressive. They want to try and help out to stop that bomb from being recovered. Now he's making a lot of noise to try and recover it right now, and Attacker is still in the apartment, spotted out, and should probably get out of there. Jamyoung will be a nice catch, and he gets the catch. That's clean.
Yeah, lovely shot. Absolutely needed that one. And there you go. Attacker is able to catch 9, guessing and unsure of where to look. So they will recover it back, and a pretty big deal that they do. Like I said, TYLOO going to be happy with that. Aggressive as well. You know, it's a nice, confident move. Really, really good for that internal belief. As a squad, as an individual, right? So we'll see. The Huns actually going to force here, despite not getting the bomb plant.
Yeah, seen it quite a lot, but I think on Inferno it can be quite impactful with the close ranges with the Tech 9s, obviously. And yeah, for TYLOO, that was actually really a really interesting pistol, right? I mean, they're making a play with it rather than just sitting back and let the Huns run at them, which I think is the right play to make. Looks silly if it doesn't come off, but you've got to play on the front foot in these sort of situations, and I think Mercury in particular is the IGL for the team now, obviously, like making the call, listen, I'm going to push deep, I'm going to get all the way through, I'm going to get the information. And you did quite a lot of the work in that round to ruin the play and ruin the plan for the Mongolians.
Jamyoung looking good on the opener. Oh, close to another. Not quite, but, you know, softening them up when you already have the advantage is a pretty good look. G got to be careful. They're hunting him down. They are tracking him here. Hoping to just get that catch. The boost up on short. Interesting to use it so early on into the half. It's usually something that you can only find success with once. Oh, and they've been spotted now, so this could get a bit dangerous. G abandons his teammate. Leaves him out to dry. Mercury at the back end of the site going to be unknown. Clean spray down onto the first. Loses his head quickly. This does indeed look dangerous. G, though, it all works out. He might have sold his teammates down the river, but he finds himself a two-piece. Bomb plant coming in here. Get that hold. Costs him his life, but they will get a return on the investment.
Very small point at the end there, but I think it's quite smart from Jamyoung, right? I mean, listen, there's definitely a risk that if you push through that smoke, you could die. If you push through it at any other timing other than that, if you push through it immediately, Zeralt could have faked it to try and make it a 1 versus 1. If you push through late, it allows him to reposition. So when he does decide to go, is when he knows the plot has been committed to, and he's in the process of pulling out his weapon, right? It's actually the safest time to push through it. Sure, you can argue, shame it gives up the plant and gives the Huns that extra money, but the round is paramount, right? So, good timing choice there by Jamyoung, and TYLOO will confirm that 7th. Another force, though, with that plant.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting from the Huns. Again, this is only something it feels like that you'd really get out of Mongolian Counter-Strike, Asian Counter-Strike. Maybe you can indeed spread it to, but the force buys out in Mongolia are pretty damn popular. I think they do like a round where they can defy the odds and have license to be a bit more aggressive like that. You know, Cobra just dry swinging in with no support to see what he can find. Bartak going to go down. His rough game, unfortunately, continues. So TYLOO's starting well here.
Bizarro once again will escape on 1. Cobra does like doing that this game. Second time. But TYLOO trying to put that defense up that we and you mentioned that they really need to do here. CT is not their most successful half on average. That is, of course, going along with the meta and going along with the current state of the map. But I do need to find these ones cleanly. So we're planning a play toward B with one player setting the fake toward A. That's 9 with the Mac 10. Actually looking to lurk all the way around, but yeah, through Archie goes and into Mercury's arms. This is a great hold. All 5 players will remain alive. That is going to be very, very nice for them to build up that money. Attack will keep on the MP9, but they've managed to find an AK on Mosaic. So 8-7 the lead, and now the Huns are probably on a half investment as they don't get a plant there. They're in a better position now, TYLOO.
Yeah, CT side seems to be working a little better for them, I think. Able to direct the game. And as I talked about right at the start of the half, just put up that brick wall. This is where I think they do become a bit harder, in fact, because, you know, you've got Yami having a good game. 9's always pretty consistent. But I think across the board, the firepower is just higher on TYLOO, really. So... and they also are not afraid to take those early fights, early swings, etc. Huns with a timeout. They understand the game is starting to get away from them. So, nice to see. You know, nice to see. I think, again, there's a lot of teams in this region that would just play the game, let it unfurl, and not make use of those timeouts, which are obviously really quite important to just slowing the pace down and turning it around.
Yeah, and of course they know this is a game that is like a wonderful opportunity for them, right? Like they've beaten Rare Atom, they've beaten Shinkas Warriors, they've got through to this consolidation final to have a chance to play in the BO5 for Pro League. They're not going to take any decision lightly here. Try their absolute best when they've been given an opportunity like this through their own expertise. Don't throw it away. TYLOO, of course, desperate to make it back to Pro League after what they did earlier on in the year. But they've got to get past the Huns and Linvision in a BO5, of course. And they're going to have a... obviously, whoever wins this game will be a map down due to the upper bracket advantage for Linvision. So, important point to make. It's going to be a hard win. Whoever makes it through.
It is true. Great to see, you know, really great to see. I think there was a time where it'd just be like the final was the only series that really mattered because of how big the drop-off could be in the caliber of teams. Nade does some decent damage. It really does feel quite tense and slow here, given the fact that the Huns are just on a few tech 9s, trying to get that bomb in, but it's not going to work. Great little setup there from TYLOO to just deal with a lack of utility kind of round. So well predicted on the buy, of course, makes a lot of sense. But now we have the Huns back in with some guns, and they are going to need to win this one out. I think if they lose this, then the map starts to come to a close.
Yeah, the thing is as well, they have to piece 2 or 3 together, right? Because they've actually not been able to do any damage in the last couple of rounds. TYLOO, just 2 rounds in a row, winning with all 5 alive, just does wonders to your money, especially on CT Inferno, right? Probably the map most critical to keep that 5 alive. Get as much money as possible for future util and proper gun rounds. And actually, you know, they're in a funny situation here, right, where we've barely seen the G off the entire map, even on CT now, because their money's been so good in the early portion of the second half, they haven't needed to rebuy yet, really. So we'll see when and where G finally decides to throw that in. A good flash top banana, sends in Jam Young for 1 kill. A late reface from Mosaic, but he does do critical damage to Zerold. So it's a 4v4, but they have the HP advantage.
Might not be enough. Might not be enough. The next kill, I feel, is going to be a pretty important one. Looks to be more of a B-lean here. Still sticking around on that TYLOO side. Happy to take a fight. Good Molotov forces them to make a decision. Do we move back? Do we move forwards? Mercury, there he is, holding for 2, and maybe that HP does make a slight difference on that second exchange in particular. Just going to be Zerol all alone now. The lurk on A does not work out. So for just a brief moment, felt like they were maybe in with a chance. Not the case. TYLOO hit double digits. No real sweat off their brow in this second half, and I think that there is a fair argument to be made that this might end up being a flawless or nigh-on flawless CT victory here.
And again, just so much money, they don't even, as I say, G could have dropped his AK to Mosaic there, but he had 10k, so he buys anyway. They got 3 AKs on the CT side. They're just not bothering with the AWP. They don't need it right now. And you know what? Fair play. Not a necessity, clearly, to get this one over the line yet. Unless they lose a round like this and have to fully reinvest with all 5. Then we'll see. But here comes the fast pistol play for the Mongolians, Mosaic and Jamyoung. That is the duo on banana that we have seen so much of on this TYLOO roster for such a long time. Dating back to old ESL Challenger LANs, of course, where they were often the team that would maybe make it through to that LAN when they were playing under the Rare Atom banner. Those are some good times. But they're having good times right now. 11-7 is the lead. They clear up that one with all 4 players, or 4 players alive, and there we go. I saw a glimpse of it. The G-AWP, the lesser spotted. It's on the server.
Hell yeah. Good to see. I mean, he was maybe a little bit quiet yesterday, I'm not going to lie. So, hopefully for the sake of TYLOO, he's able to bring a better game today to what would hopefully be for this team, both this game and the grand final. But we'll see. It's not a lot of rounds left if TYLOO have their way for him to be having an impact on that AWP, in fact.
Even if it's 1 kill and they win the round, though, it's fine. Smoke block. Cobra says bonk. We'll take that. And actually, it works out. Well, how about that? That's incredible. He moves the smoke a little bit via his own body and then decides, okay, well, I actually got a timing here anyway. I can push forward with a flash, take the entry, and Cobra actually takes both of them. So, bit of a goofy way to do it, Scriv, but they're going to get 8, and they're going to force TYLOO into a save.
All right. Backs up against the wall. They're able to figure a way out of the corner. Will the save be successful? Attacker's getting a little close to the action.
Good.
Not sure what he's going to be able to find here. Just one. Ooh. Second one's after him. I think he might go down here. That Molotov is nowhere near good enough. But it doesn't really matter all that much, right? Obviously, they are trying to take some weapons away, make life difficult for the Huns in the future, and they do just that. That third kill in particular makes it costly. That's generally the rule of thumb. I think technically on the CT side, if there's only 3 of you left, you are losing money just about, right? Depending on if you want to go for a full utility and kit buy. But yeah, rule of thumb is like if you got 3, good. If you're below 3, you've lost money. So a nice consolation for TYLOO right at the end.
Yeah, and the example of what you're talking about there is Cobra on the Mac 10 in this following round, right? Oh, Yummy, pacey. I really appreciate it. Look at the flashes they've chained up toward long, and Mercury down to 5 HP. How is he alive? How is he still alive? We're going with a Glock to get the kill. Yummy has sacrificed himself entirely for that opening. And you know what? If they get the entries elsewhere on A, it doesn't really matter. Zerol is very low HP on long, and they could go for this retake very quickly. They've got 3 players in position toward long. Much faster than I thought, but that nade will fly in from Bartak. Mosaic will go down. And the pace from the Huns has totally caught TYLOO off guard here.
Which honestly, Trav, is kind of surprising. It's a bit textbook of a team like the Huns. Get that first round and then just completely change things up, you know, to remain unpredictable. That's kind of what they're all about. So you'd think TYLOO might be expecting it a little, but, you know, it's the old Mike Tyson. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. You know, they may well have been ready, but you don't quite know where it's going to happen. you might miss a shot and suddenly that costs you not 1 but 2 kills because that guy on the Mac 10 goes flying in, distracts the crosshair, whatever it may be. They do lose a couple at the tail end, so again, finances not in prime position, not taken off just yet. No return on investment, it feels like, but they are closing the gap ever so slightly, and they are winding down the money of the CT side. So, pretty important one here, but it is the next one I think that we will look towards, because that is that double whammy of breaking the economy and evening the scoreline up. They are staying with the rush.
Okay.
Doesn't start so well. This time they're more ready. Also, the bomb died by itself. That doesn't help.
Listen, it working once, great. Brilliant change of pace. Love that. To try it again in the immediate round after, with a slight variation. I think they're trying to entry up mid rather than completely focus on long, right? They actually tried to make their way up short, but yeah, I think TYLOO were very ready on this occasion. Bomb, as you say, was dropped bottom banana and finally recovered, but 42 and 15 HP, not enough at all. Sure, damage done to Attacker and Jamyoung, but Attacker's doing the right thing here, just ducking and diving in Boiler, making sure there's no advance from Yami. And there we go. TYLOO have settled things, and they're going to be up to 12 here. Bartak with 1250 in the bank. Damage was significant, of course, in the previous round again. Only just survived with 3, I think, if memory serves me correctly. TYLOO, as I said earlier, right, having so much money in the bank long term means that you can go for those plays even if you lose the round, right? Stick around, do damage. And it's maybe forced the Huns to go for those faster plays when they've had that Mac 10 in play, right? So maybe by extension, all this has been pretty worth for TYLOO.
I have to just chime in as well and maybe get your thoughts on this one, but we've seen it here. Yesterday, TYLOO, right? I think the point I'm trying to make before I get into it is that they just can't quite shake off the DNA, you know, of what they're about sometimes. So it was 12-10 to Lin Vision on Ancient, right? And TYLOO, Hail Mary, called a B-rush, and it worked. Cool, 12-11. Then the next round, they did the exact same thing and lost 13-11. And I was just losing my mind. Like, why, man? Why are we just repeating the same call? It was crazy.
Okay, there we go. 9 actually will get the trade from the grave. But yeah, the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, doesn't necessarily always work in every scenario. Cobra actually had a really good timing there. That Molotov did not spread to half wall. He actually took advantage of it and tried to push forward to take the kill. Mazair has recovered that brilliantly. Surprised actually he's able to get that kill. He survives on 8 HP, and G gets a critical frag as well. Over toward A. That's the Apps player trying to make their way down. And Attacker kind of gives up his life, though, pushing down middle. Again, you talking about aggression. That's just a push that doesn't feel like it's necessary. Now Mercury's doing the same. He's walking into his death here. TYLOO, behave yourselves. You're doing it again.
Yeah, just getting ever so slightly giddy. That's a hell of a shot from G. Looks like it shouldn't even land, but he will indeed get it. Just Sorolt now remaining. He's got both of them to find. No, he does not. Check long, and he will go down to Mosaic. TYLOO clean it up in the end. Couple close rounds, couple dropped rounds there towards the very end, but not enough from the Huns. A great first half. They just could not get themselves going at all into the T end. So TYLOO will take it. Looks like it's not really all that difficult. I think the Huns, unfortunately,